Welcome to the Bridge of Two podcast.
I checked, like after this, if I record an episode tonight, I'll do a quick check to make sure it's all good before I actually record an episode, because I don't want that to happen again.
It's the worst.
It's awful.
And you go back and you listen and you're like, what is happening? Why is this happening?
I can just hear the sounds of killing. It was so unfortunate too, though, because I mean, back when I was going to post it, that was like one of my better ones, because I was talking about like the Clone Wars and Republic Commando and all that. Oh.
So, come back to the Bridge of Two podcast.
Welcome back, everybody.
Nothing like a awkward segue into the episode.
I didn't even know we had started recording.
We did.
Well, hope you all enjoy that if it's in the episode.
When you least expect it, I record an episode of a podcast.
And somehow Palpatine returned.
Exactly. That's what I should have named the episode, the Bridge of Two Awards, should have been called Somehow the Podcast Returned. Like, that
would have been funny. That would have been fun.
I might just change that.
Although we have no reference to that at all, so just people like, what are they doing?
I think the world will know.
That's true. That's very true.
Anywho, we're back on the bridge, and we are
crossing chasms and
yes,
all sorts of things.
That's right. And we are. So I was trying to think of somewhere to continue that, but I couldn't. We're going to talk about the Avatar, The Last Airbender Netflix
not
show.
the weird movie with blue aliens.
Oh, my word.
But the Avatar, The Last Airbender.
I saw like a clip of that. I haven't seen much of that, but I saw a clip of it
Did you see the first movie?
Yeah, I saw a clip of the first movie of where he comes in and he's like doing like airbending, and he's like saying things about I'm the Avatar, and like it was just ridiculous.
Wait, what are we talking about?
I was just saying I've seen clips of them from the movie.
Oh no, I'm talking about like the blue alien movie, Avatar.
Oh,
James Cameron, yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
that movie. Is also
that weird movie, and I
with
thought
the blue aliens.
Oh, I missed that part.
To be fair, that adaptation is also not great. So, but no, we are going to
basically ended M. Night Shyamalan's career.
No, we're going to be talking about the Netflix adaptation that came out this past month.
We are
live action adaptation.
Yeah, but before we get to that, do you have any tell me something that sci-fi and fantasy you have waded into this week or last couple weeks?
Recently, you and I both have been playing some, spreading some good old managed democracy.
Oh yeah,
in Helldivers 2.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
All thanks to our good friend Caleb, who is just a solid guy. A real nice guy, and gifted us the game so we can all play together. So we've been playing that.
Yeah.
And that game is I really only play with you guys. I haven't really been playing it alone.
Mm-hmm. But
the aesthetic of the game, the gameplay is top notch. The sci-fi aspects of it, it's just it's a really fun, and it doesn't take itself too seriously. I think that's probably my favorite part about it.
That opening cinematic. Mm-hmm. I almost want to watch it every time because it's so over the top cheesy and but over the top,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's got a satirical kind of lore. The lore is very satirical of spreading democracy and so that Super Earth is safe and all these things. And it's really? It's this is saving the universe.
This is what we're doing.
But it's fun. Yeah, you get to fight either swarms of bugs, giant bugs, or
automatons,
robots. Yeah.
As of right now, I think they're going to add more factions.
Supposedly they're going to add another faction at least. One more.
Honestly, with how big the game has become, they'll probably add a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah, seriously. And they've done it in such a way, like the store system or whatever. They've done it in such a way that it's not necessary. It's just like it's not necessary to spend money.
It's all cosmetic.
Yeah.
For one. Well,
pretty much.
There's a few they can get different guns,
stuff,
but the one battle pass thing that how they have it split up right now is you have like 3 battle pass type things, but one of them is free, and this is what I like about it. And I'm not a big fan of Fortnite, but Fortnite at least did when I played it a year ago, did the same thing where as long as you rank up that battle pass, you can get enough of the credits or the in-game currency to buy the other battle pass. Or buy like in Fortnite's case, it was buy the next one.
Right.
So so playing this free one, ranking up battle pass, if you just play the game even a decent bit, because I haven't even, like I said, I only play with you guys, so I play a couple hours like a week maybe.
Yeah.
I'm already all over halfway done with the free battle pass, and I'm almost have enough credits. Like if I could literally just spend like maybe $3 now and have enough of the in-store game to pay the paid battle pass, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's not like anything there is like a pay to win aspect of like, oh, I have this now, so I win. Like they do have some guns in the battle passes, but I mean, I think you still use the original assault rifle, right?
It's a good gun.
And you do like perfectly fine.
Honestly, I mean, the weapons in that game for the most part are pretty well balanced.
Yeah.
I mean, and they don't even like, and the armor I've noticed too, like the armor is mainly cosmetic. I mean, there are little buffs and stuff on them, but they're very similar. You have multiple sets that have similar buffs and stuff like that too. So it's not like, it's like you have options if you like those buffs, but you don't like the way the armor looks. There's another armor set you'll probably like that looks.
And none of the buffs are like game breaking,
Right. So
like
it's
none
not
of them
like
increase your damage, and none of them do that.
Right. So it's not like you feel like you have to go out and like spend money to like get this ultimate gear or whatever, because that's really the kind of, it seems like the sort of mentality of the devs is that they don't want it to be a fear of missing out kind of system where
they don't do the timed exclusive like a lot of games do, where like if you don't get it right now, you're not gonna be able to get it ever.
And it's not all in your face, like the whole the way the store is set up. It's not like throwing, buy this, here's a deal, get this deal now, and trying to get you to spend money, spend a few bucks here and there constantly. So it's really enjoyable to play, and it's a game that's just made just to be a fun game. It's a great co-op game, online co-op game, and it's just like one of those games that, because of the co-op aspect and because of I don't know, there's just a lot of no two matches are the same. There's just so much variation in like what happens, and
and it's a difficult game, where it can be a difficult game, but it's also meant to be just like, you're supposed to just have fun. Like I'm sure if you are anywhere in your social media and a gamer, you've seen clips of people doing like crazy, throwing down these like stratagems that will launch like barrages, or they'll do like they'll dive off of a cliff while shooting a rocket launcher at a monster. It's just stuff like that. It's just like, and it's generous. It's not like if you die, it's game over. It's like when you have 4 people in a squad, which is the max number, you have 20 revives,
right?
Which, mind you, can go down really fast. But I mean, it's not like you die and it's over. You have room to screw around and mess around with things. It's just, it's very, the devs did a really good job with it, and it seems that they're continuing to. And they're also just big on it just being a game. They're like, we were just a bunch of people who are spreading democracy.
Yeah,
across
we just
the
want to spread
galaxy.
democracy, and have fun doing it.
And it's not a AAA game. It's by a more indie developer.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the game itself is only $40.
Right.
Or 30 or 40. I think it's 40.
$40. Retail is 40.
Which is insane, considering that it's better than most AAA games right now. It's way more polished. It's way more fun. I can have hours upon hours of fun in this game for weeks and months to come, for sure.
Yeah.
Compared to like, trying to think of a game that came out recently that you can beat in like 5 minutes and never want to play again.
Well, yeah, I can think of it. I mean, I played a game that's a few years old. It's a great game, great campaign, but it's like 8-hour campaign.
Mm-hmm.
There's no like multiplayer support anymore, and it's still like.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, you're talking about Titanfall 2.
Yeah,
that's a little different because you can get that game for like $5 now. So
that's true.
And back in the day when there was multiplayer support, apparently multiplayer was really good. So I give that game a pass. But there's just like it's another thing that I didn't play a game day one, but I haven't heard anything about it, but as well. But I mean, it seems like it dropped, and their servers were fine. They had perfect. They didn't have any server drops, which seems like almost non-existent nowadays because every time a new multiplayer game drops, Battlefront, the Classic Collection, Diablo 4 had this issue. Almost any new multiplayer game that drops with a AAA studio or a big studio, they have server issues where you either have to wait in a queue or games crash or the performance is terrible. As far as like I said, I didn't play game one and I don't know for certain, but from what I haven't seen anything about it being an issue.
Yeah.
So good on this indie. I don't know if they're an indie development. They're more like I think a AA game studio or whatever, but good on them, good on them for making a fun game. And yeah, if you like sci-fi, just third-person shooter action awesomeness, I mean, it's a really fun game.
Yeah.
Really makes me want a Star Wars game like it.
Yeah. Mods, definitely mods. I have a feeling they're going to add a bunch of like homages to things. They probably can't outright do it for obvious copyright reasons, but they'll probably do a lot. They've already done an homage to Halo, I'm pretty sure. Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Speaking of, I really want to play that. I think I want to
replay Halo.
Play through those games. Well, I realized that
I'm on Halo 3 now.
Yeah, I finally realized that I've only played completely through 3 and Reach. So
1 and 2 are great. I mean, 3 and Reach are probably the best. I mean, 4 is good too, but the story is just different.
Yeah, they went in a different direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've realized I have a bunch of games my backlog that I actually want to start getting through. Like I'm working my way through Dark Souls 1 right now. I'm gonna work my way through all the Dark Souls games. And then Elden Ring.
I've been seeing some Elden Ring clips on Facebook. When I'm on Facebook, people fighting bosses, and it's like, kind of makes me want to try it.
Oh, that game's about to drop. It's gonna have.
But I'm nervous.
It's gonna have its DLC this year.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure the DLC is gonna be like a full length game.
Nice.
That's what it's sounding like. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be good. Elden Ring is a really, really good game.
Yeah,
but I've only beaten Dark Souls 2, so I want to go back and actually play through and beat the rest of the Dark Souls games.
The difficulty, the way you can ratchet up the difficulty in Helldivers, I was thinking today, reminds me kind of Dark Souls. The only thing is you can respawn. Like, you can just come right back down to the fight, and you have teammates and stuff. So the difficulty aspect is definitely not the same, but I have enjoyed playing on like really high difficulties in that game, and it's just chaos. And there's just like giant mammoth bugs, like just breathing, stuff, and it's just like, this is insanely amazing.
Well, the fun thing about Dark Souls, and there's like such a big following for it, is, and it's gonna sound stupid, but like that sense of accomplishment you get when you actually beat a boss, because the game is difficult. Mind you, after playing Elden Ring and Dark Souls 3, Dark Souls 1 isn't as hard as I remember it being when I played it a couple years back. But I've definitely been stuck on a few bosses. But when you finally figure the boss out, or you finally beat the boss, you're like, oh, I did it, I got it. And there's that sense of accomplishment. I actually watched a video the other day on this of I think the title of the video was like how Dark Souls cured depression. Oh, yeah. And it was about some people doing like a video essay type on how Dark Souls is a game. All of them, Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne and all that as a game, actually helped a lot of people kind of fight back against their depression, because it has to do a lot with like that sense of accomplishment, and then that dopamine rush that you get when you actually beat a boss, and then also overcoming obstacles to get to there. It's a very interesting video, but it is, those games are like, you may be stuck on a boss for, I've been stuck on bosses for hours before I have to like turn the game off and come back later on. But once you finally figure it out and beat that boss, you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, should we get into Avatar?
Let's do it.
The Last Windbender.
You said wind.
I've had a cough for like weeks now. It's just there.
It's that COVID cough.
This won't quite go away. So if you hear me wheezing, I'm not actually sick. I just have a cough. But
I don't think they'll catch it through the podcast anyway, though.
It's true.
They're not going to catch your sickness.
It'll keep the paparazzi away at the very least.
There you go.
The raging fans.
The raging fans,
outside my house.
The bridge crew.
Oh, shout out. The bridge crew. Bridge of two crew.
The Bridgeites.
So
Avatar. The Last. So, okay,
Where do
before we
we
start
begin?
this,
Okay.
You did not watch.
Spoilers ahead.
Yes, spoilers ahead we're talking about episode 1 this episode, and then in the subsequent episodes, spoilers for each episode.
Yes.
But you never watched Avatar the cartoon when it first came out.
No, not when it first came out.
You only just recently started watching it, correct?
Correct.
How far are you right now?
I am pretty far into season 1 on the animated show. I don't know if how close I am to the end, because that's back when shows were
20-30 episodes.
Yeah, 20 episodes a season. So it feels like I'm really deep, but I could just be halfway. Trying to actually pull it up real quick. I'm on episode 13, so I'm like,
oh, so you're like
halfway through.
Nice.
So I actually want to pick it back up and keep going, because I know this season will be in will kind of, you already see it in the first episode how they kind of abbreviate things and kind of make things happen a little faster, because there's only 8 episodes in the season.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm not that far in.
So I watched it not when it first came out, because if I remember, my parents didn't let me watch it. But when I was maybe like a year, like near when I think it was near ending its 3rd season is when I started watching it. So I have watched it, but it has been a while, because I have not watched it since then. So I remember some things, but not a whole lot of things. I'm actually probably going to go back and start rewatching the cartoon, because that is something I can easily do when I'm just doing something else. Throw it on in the background. What are your initial impressions of the adaptation?
Yeah, so it's a more serious tone than the show. Like, the show definitely has serious things going on and serious moments, but like Sokka was actually, I realized, like, Sokka was there was a big difference in Sokka between the show and between the Netflix show and the animated show, because he's just he's such a more serious character right off the bat. Like, he's serious in the cartoon, but like comical stuff happens to him. He's over the top with his jealousy of Aang, or he's suspicious of him in the show, but he's actually in some ways more likable. I feel like in the not in the animated show, like, he's more likable from what I've seen of him now, because the show kind of takes him more seriously, and what he's trying to do in protecting his water tribe. But yeah, I have more thoughts, but I don't want to get them like all out right now. What was your impression of episode 1?
I actually so far I'm really enjoying the adaptation. I think it's really good. I think it's pretty faithful to the animation as well, from what I remember. I
am enjoying it as well.
I was telling my wife this, though, and it's an issue. It's why I don't ever watch. Recently, I have not really watched any adaptations of animated shows. Like, a lot of the animes, they get live action adaptations. I don't watch, because if I've seen something in animation first, and then I see it in live action, it feels weird. Yeah, and I think it's just because I'm so used to the way the characters are animated. And obviously in animation, you have a lot more freedom. There's a lot more stylization. Yeah. And then going to a live action afterwards is just, it's difficult. I didn't have this issue with, say, like the Clone Wars cartoon because I watched Star Wars first, the movies, and live action. Then it became a cartoon, so it doesn't feel weird. Whereas like this, or like anytime I see like a trailer for like say the One Piece show, like it just feels weird to see these characters.
Right.
That being said,
it takes like an adjustment.
It does. That being said, I really like it so far, and I think that their actor choice is borderline phenomenal, specifically with Sokka. The actor they chose looks and really sounds like just like Sokka. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. We'll get a little bit more into some of the other things I have to say about some of the actors as we continue on, but I do have a couple issues. But otherwise, I mean, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm excited to keep going, watching more episodes. I'm excited to rewatch the cartoon now as well,
right? To
compare.
So, what did you think of them starting off with showing? So they started off with you get to meet Aang in the southern air tribe, and you actually get to get like an explanation of what happened with Aang. Like, how did Aang get into the ice? And which I don't know, like I haven't gotten far enough into the show to know if there's ever any flashbacks or anything that do this.
Don't think so to the extent that the show does. I don't, like I said, it's been a while, so I don't fully remember everything. Okay. It might talk a little bit about how Aang got into the ice in the cartoon.
Okay.
But I don't know if they do like major flashbacks. I really liked it.
Yeah.
I think it did a really good job of making you a more attached and understanding of what is actually happening, because like you kind of start the cartoon and they're like, yeah, Aang's the last airbender, and it kind of talks about like, yeah, they're wiped out by the Fire Nation, but this time we actually kind of got to see it. And so the impact's a little bit harder because you didn't see the whole air tribe, the air temple, Southern Air Temple, and all that, and so and Aang was friends with them, so the impact almost hits a little bit harder of like, wow, they are all gone.
Yeah, and the fact that I thought too that the fact that it happened the same night, like the same night he disappeared is the night that the Southern Air, like that makes it hit really hard too, and because that was the last time he saw any of them was right before that happened, so it certainly made it more impactful later in the episode when they actually do go to the Southern Air Temple.
It was also. I think a good way to start it too, because it definitely set the tone for the show of like, yeah, this is Avatar: Last Airbender, but we are going to be a little bit more almost like gritty with it.
Yeah. A little darker because we didn't just see a whole people get wiped out. I mean, it implies that kids get killed. When you got the flashbacks with the Water Tribe too, where, like literally there's, Katara has like a PTSD moment where she's like remembering her mom getting like flamethrowered.
You're just episode 2. You're jumping ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I'm joking. Yeah. Something I definitely noticed with the like live app, like when they do live action adaptations, especially for shows like Avatar: Last Airbender, is they basically are like, okay, well, when this show came out, all these people were kids, and they grew up with it. Now they're adults,
right?
Let's make it a little bit more gritty and adult-like. And if that's kind of what they're doing, well, also I will, and I noticed it more in episode 2 than episode 1, but while also keeping some of that childish charm to it. And we'll talk about that a little bit in episode 2. There's a scene in episode 2 that reminded me a lot of the cartoon that we'll talk about. But
I think, what do you think of the guy playing Aang, the kid playing Aang?
I like him. I think he's doing a pretty good job so far.
He does the very serious stuff very well.
Yes, it's
like, the lighthearted, like there's a little bit of that lightheartedness of Aang that is missing, I feel like. But that's part of, I think, the tone of the show is that it is more serious. And he, I don't know. It's just there's less of the lightheartedness as there is in the show with Aang's character and whatnot.
Really, I think all the actors do a pretty good job. Aang is like hit or miss with certain scenes, but I think he's doing a good job, and I think he does a good job playing Aang. The one actor that actress that I have an issue with is Katara. She's very stiff, bland, flat-faced so far. It might change, but I mean, I remember Katara was very lively. She's got a lot of emotion. She's got a lot of everything in the cartoon, and I feel like the actress is having a hard time portraying that.
She's a very strong character too, and yeah,
it's just like every scene, her face is just bland,
like everything's too small, like all the expressions and things are just too subtle. But so I thought she was, I thought in episode 1, I sort of thought episode 1 was a little, like there's a lot of things in episode 1 that I thought were really strong, but I did think the like Aang, Katara, Sokka chemistry was a little stiff in episode 1.
Agreed. And
we'll get into episode 2 in the next episode, but I did think it was better in episode 2. Their chemistry.
They're getting there. Now, mind you, Katara is really the only actress that I have an issue with.
Yeah.
A major one. Like I said, I think Sokka is doing a great job. I think he portrays Sokka very well. He oddly enough, looks like Sokka.
Do you find him to be, and I don't know if but I just remember watching Sokka in the show, in the cartoon, and just being like, at times just getting really annoyed at him because he's just so obtuse for no reason, or just because he's whatever, jealous or immature or whatever. And so, which because he's that way, he gets like a lot of stuff happens at his expense. Like when he first meets Appa, Appa like snots all over him, and it's hilarious. And that doesn't happen in the show, but at the same time, Sokka's character doesn't really need to be the butt of the joke, like a lot of jokes, because he's a more serious and more noble kind of character, it seemed, So how did you feel about that? I
don't mind it. Sokka is definitely the comic relief in the cartoon. Like the major comic relief. I mean, it's a cartoon. It's got to be funny. They got to have, especially for kids.
For kids, yeah.
I actually, probably because I am an adult and I tend to gravitate towards more nitty gritty type shows, like more darker shows. I mean, I like Attack on Titan, for goodness sake. I love those type of shows. I don't mind the changes. I don't mind him being more nitty gritty, and almost to an extent, like as an adult, I kind of empathize with him of like he has now become the man of his village. He's here to protect it. So he would be a little bit more stiff about that stuff. So I don't mind the changes, they can kind of take away some of that comic relief. I don't mind it at all. What about you?
I don't mind it. It was just an adjustment. It's just like as I was watching it, I was like,
especially since you're like just now watching the cartoon,
right? But I actually, when I, especially getting into more in episode 2, like seeing the characters and the way they're being treated in the show, the Netflix show, I was kind of like, it sort of makes him a more likable character, which
agreed.
I don't hate. So,
mind you, Sokka is one of the best characters in the show.
Yeah.
Like, especially in the later seasons, because especially when you come to acknowledge that he's like the only one that's part of Team Aang or Team Avatar, whatever they call it. I can't remember what they call him. But that isn't an airbender or isn't a bender at all.
Yeah.
I think he's like the only one.
He's Adolin.
He's just Adolin doing his thing. But he also is like the first to step up, and he's like the first to, maybe it's naive at times, but like he's courageous at heart.
Which I like that moment in the episode when he goes and gets his father's, like, I don't know what they call that bat looking thing, but he goes and gets the weapon and he challenges a firebender. The prince.
Yeah, they kept that part, the whole naivete of him, very accurate, kind of just, and bravery, like the courage aspect of him is still there. Like they didn't take that away.
Yeah.
If anything, they almost enhanced it even more. Because even in the second episode, we'll talk about where he steps forward multiple times to like defend and do what needs to be done,
I sort of think Iroh is a little stiff. The guy playing Iroh. I really like Iroh in this cartoon, and for some reason the performance of the actor playing Iroh is just not 100% there for me. And he's almost identical. Like his lines are very similar. It's not like they've changed anything. It's just the way the actor is delivering the lines is just
that. And I think
not
Iroh,
quite there.
I think Iroh, especially in the first season, is more also kind of that he's like how he's the comic relief for the Fire Nation and for Zuko as like Sokka is to like Team Aang.
Right.
Like he's that comic relief, and I feel like we're not kind of getting that from him, which is fine. I'm hoping that he kind of grows into his role more because Iroh becomes very. I mean, he is a great character, especially. I mean, he's a great character all around,
right?
But he's a great character, especially in the further seasons.
No.
Same with Zuko, but so I hope he does come more into his role, and it makes But I agree, he is like at times I like him at times, and other times I think his lines fall a little flat for me. They picked a good looking actor for him. Like he looks very much like. I mean, all the actors look.
Yeah.
The only other one, like, once again, is I think guitar is a little off for me. The way that she, but otherwise,
yeah.
What do you think of Zuko?
I think he's good. I think he's almost perfect. He's almost like he stepped out of the show. Like he really does. He looks like him. Like they did a great job with the look, and then just his personality. Like he just really does give you those. All the different, there's like a complicatedness to Zuko. He wants really bad to prove himself and like return home. And he has this shame, that he's carrying around or whatever, and it comes out in his harshness, but like, yeah, there's a great scene with him in episode 2. I just was really won over by him.
I think out of everything, I'm most excited to see his character arc in live action.
Yeah.
Just because his character arc in general in the show, in the cartoon, is phenomenal.
Right.
Which, for a show that has Dave Filoni on it doesn't surprise me. But Zuko ends up becoming one of my favorite characters. Because in the first season of the show, he annoys me. Okay. Because he is so, I'm going to get the Avatar. And he's like very but he like ends up becoming such a pivotal character, and such his character growth is so phenomenal, and Iroh is a big part of that. So I'm really, really excited to see that as the show progresses into the later seasons.
One thing I got from him what I got from him in the cartoon is that he's an honorable character. There's another character in the cartoon which I think we just saw in episode 2, but I won't go into that. But there's a character in the cartoon that you get a contrast between Zuko and this other firebender, and you see that Zuko actually cares about honor. And you kind of see that in the Netflix show, the way he he takes Aang. Aang turns himself in. He takes Aang. He doesn't. I'm thinking, is he going to turn around and just burn the village? And he doesn't, And then once again, that's going into episode 2, but there's just, and I mean, I don't know how intentional that is on the part of the show creators, but to me, I'm taking it as he's not interested in unnecessary wanton destruction,
Well, I mean, that's what they did a good job of showing in this live action, is that, I mean, his ultimate goal is to win back his honor, to get the Avatar and be able to come home because he's exiled by his father. Yeah.
What do you think of the bending and how that all looks?
I think it looks freaking phenomenal, man. Yeah. The special effects are really good. The only one that throws me off, and I think it's understandable because it's hard to portray it, is the airbending. Yeah. Watching Aang fly about the Southern Air Temple in the initial flashback scene just was odd to me. And then some of that just floating about that he does. Well, he does it in the cartoon. Just looks odd in live action. Yeah. But everything else looks great. The waterbending and firebending look phenomenal. Yeah. We haven't seen too much earthbending except for that initial episode or initial scene so far. Right. But even that looked really good. I think it was a little slow. I feel like the earthbending, for some reason, they slowed everything down. If that makes sense. The way they because in the cartoon, you'll see when they start getting into more of the earthbending stuff, if you haven't got there already, where they move pretty fast. They move the earth pretty fast. Yeah, no, I've seen a pretty good amount of earthbending. Especially when you get to Toph. Have you met Toph yet? No, not yet. So she's the best. Obviously, she's the best firebender, but
Yeah.
or earthbender.
Yeah.
But she works so fast, and the way like all from even like kicking the rocks up, like they all were fast. Whereas that initial scene, it seemed like everything like it took them a while to like really raise the ground, and which is more realistic for sure. But
I think it was to like a dramatic moment, you know.
yeah, so we'll see as we get more into the earthbending stuff. But so far, the special effects are pretty top notch, in my opinion. I think they're really good. They spared no expense.
We got the they did the in the water tribe when they're talking to what do they call her, Nan.
Oh yeah, the grandma or whatever.
Yeah, that she says the intro
to
the episode.
I like that.
When we needed him most, he vanished. Yeah, I was like, oh, they're doing it. That's one thing I will say for this show is it's interested in being an adaptation.
Yes,
it's not just like, oh, let's do our own thing with it. I mean, like, not that they're not doing anything, taking any liberties, but they're interested in actually adapting the story of the season one, you know, and I expect that we'll see by the end of season one of the show that we'll see a decent version of season one of the animated show, you know, that he's going through in training. So I'm assuming he'll have come to a place of proficiency with another bending discipline, you know. So whereas other adaptations sometimes are just like, we'll use the characters and we'll do stuff kind of like it, but we're just gonna do our own thing.
Yeah.
Halo.
Yeah.
I just finished that season.
Fresh on your mind.
Yeah. So I won't go into a rant here, but anyway, but I appreciate that about this show, you know, and I think that's something that you have like One Piece that was really well received.
They were faithful.
They really were trying to be as faithful and do the tone and everything as well as they could, you know, and I feel like they're trying to do that here. So,
and so far from what we've seen or what I've seen, I feel like they're doing a good job for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely appreciate it. Well, sweet.
All right, well, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you for listening. We'll be talking about the next episode here soon.
See you guys soon.
This has been the Bridge of Two podcast. A far, far away bridge. It's like trying to remember, like, what are we saying again?